All right, here's a quick little intro. I'm just starting these interviews, so they're not all that polished, but it really doesn't matter. The whole idea is to talk to people, let them share their story, and that's it. So here is an interview with the awesome, incredible Jackson LeMay. Cool. So, Jack, we're doing this to let people tell their stories. And, I'd love for you to just start off by introducing yourself and, give a brief overview of your story, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, my name is Jackson LeMay. I am 26 years old. I have struggled with the disease of obesity my entire life. From a baby, I was born prematurely. I was very sickly. I was on high doses of prednisone throughout my entire life, in and out of the hospital. The entire first year of my life, I lived in my parents' closet because it was the only room in my house that didn't have vaulted ceilings, and I needed a humidifier. So,
Wow.
um, from a young age, my relationship with food was not great. But I always played sports. I played soccer, I played football, I played basketball. I did all the things. I was a track athlete. I did shot put in track. So you know, growing up, struggling with my weight, struggling with my sexuality, and holding that in, it's something that I dealt with. Uh, I dealt with internal struggle as well as the struggle of being in a larger body, and having to cope with that. A lot of that is coping with food, and also learning from a young age that the way to make other people like you is the self-deprecation, the self-deprecating humor. Um, like even still to this day, I still cope with that a little bit. Um, Trying to work on it really hard, but um, you find that putting yourself down is a way to make others like you, and it takes a large toll on your mental health. So growing up, I in sixth grade had a piece of chicken stuck in my throat and had to get it surgically removed. Um, I was diagnosed with a condition called eosinophilic esophagitis, which is an autoimmune condition where my eosinophils attack my esophagus essentially. So my body's attacking itself. Which is an inflammatory disease. So fast forwarding, my entire life, I struggled with swallowing. I struggled with, I had to chew 20 times on each side of my mouth. I always had to have a glass of water next to me or something to drink next to me because if I would go out to eat, I was scared that I was going to choke. Um, you know, so that led to a lot of disordered eating where I would not want to eat in front of people, and then I would withhold, and then I would binge later on. So it was kind of two ends of the spectrum where I would restrict, and then I would binge, which became just normal to me essentially. So after getting out of high school, and I was over 300 pounds at the time, uh, I met a friend that did CrossFit, and they were like, "Hey, just come with me, and we can work out, and I'll help you lose some weight. I can help you with the nutrition. I can help you, stay more active, and then we can try to help you get a little bit healthier." So I started going to CrossFit. At my highest weight, I had weighed in at 340 pounds. Now, at this time, I feel that I probably was higher than that at some point, but I was so scared to step on that scale and actually like take in that the number was probably higher than I thought. So, but the highest I weighed in was 340. I started doing CrossFit. I was doing it morning and night. I would go in before my morning shift. At the time I was working in the service industry, I would go to CrossFit before my morning shift, and then when I would get off, I would go and do CrossFit at night. And working around people that are in CrossFit, a lot of them were doing like bodybuilding. A lot of them were doing this really heavy lifting style where a lot of them were doing like physique shows and things where they had like heavy restriction. And this is something that, you know, obviously was ingrained in me, the level of restriction. So I really started restricting my diet because I wanted the pounds to come off. So if I would step on the scale and the number wasn't going down, I would restrict further for the day. And that was a very unhealthy habit that I have had to learn to stop obsessing over the number on the scale. That's something, especially on this journey, that has changed for me. But in the end, I lost 140 pounds in a little bit over a year. So I got down to 200 pounds, which at the time was my lowest weight that I had ever been in my adult life. Even my adolescent life, for the most part, 200 pounds was the lowest I had ever been. So, getting to that point and then feeling more comfort with myself, and I was able to come out of the closet. And well, I didn't come out of the closet, I was outed, long story short, but we're not going to talk about that. But being able to be more comfortable with my sexuality and be able to have a little bit more freedom, you know, with that comes relationships. And I got in a relationship, and after restricting for so long, I feel like it really affected my leptin, and I was just insatiable. I had undiagnosed binging disorder, and it was very obvious. I could not stop. Every single time that I would, walk past the fridge, I'm opening it and seeing what we have in there. I'm like, I know it didn't change from 10 minutes ago, but I got to look and see if there's anything else I can snack on. I would eat a meal, I'm thinking about the next meal. I would go home from work, and I would stop in the drive-thru, and I would park and eat in my car before I would go home, and I would throw the trash wrappers away as I'm walking in the door. And it just became my new normal, where I was just completely insatiable, and I was, every time I stepped on that scale, the weight was going up. And this was over the course of many years. But I went to my doctor and I said, hey, like, I have an issue. I cannot stop eating. I can't satiate myself. I just cannot find a normal. I can't eat it at the calorie at my BMR. I cannot eat at that and be satiated. My brain just won't let me stop. And she was like, well, we have this medication called Contrave. So Contrave is a medication that is typically prescribed for people that have BED, or people that struggle with substance abuse issues. It's an antidepressant, as well as a antidepressant, as well as like a deterrent for substance abuse. So I started Contrave, and I wasn't feeling great on it the first 2 weeks, but the third week I started to have severe tremors, nausea. I was having diarrhea. I was having bouts of like feeling faint, and I was drinking enough water and like eating enough food. The medication didn't agree well with me. So I stopped cold turkey, and you're not supposed to with any antidepressant. You're supposed to titrate down. But I called my doctor and I said, I have to stop immediately. And around this time, I had started scrolling on TikTok, and I scrolled into JT, the flight attendant's live, and she was talking about this wonderful medication called Mangiro. And I was like, what is Mangiro? I was like, I've never heard of this. And well, I was like, I've heard of Ozempic, but I've never heard of Mangiro. And she was like, well, I'm on Mangiro. So, and this entire time I'm saying it wrong. I didn't know what it was called. So, I watched her live for like 2.5 hours, and I was just so enthralled by the entire thing, and the people in the chat asking all these questions, and like, how much did you lose? And like, how has it helped you with this? And, I have autoimmune conditions. So I was like, well, I see it's helping other people with autoimmune conditions. So after watching that live, I was like, I can't get enough. I went to my search tab and I typed in Mangiro and I spelled it Monjiro because I didn't know how it was spelled. But luckily, I guess the algorithm picked it up and I found more content. And that's where I found people like Candice Marche and BPCOS and Carrie Lee and some of the other creators around the space, and I just got enthralled. So I had done my blood work, and my blood work came back that I was hyperlipidemic and I had prediabetes. So I asked my doctor, I messaged her and I said, do you think I can get Manjaro? And at this time, I know how to say it. So I was like, could I get Manjaro? And she was like, well, it's a long shot because you're not diabetic, but we can try. So she submitted my PA in August, and I got a 3-year PA from Aetna. So yeah, it was really awesome. It's changed everything for me. It's changed my relationship with food. It's helped with my eating disorder. It's helped with my inflammation for my autoimmune condition. I no longer have swelling in my esophagus. I no longer have issues swallowing. Everything seems a lot more easier for me, on that side of things. And then also, I'm no longer pre-diabetic. My cholesterol isn't high anymore. My blood pressure isn't high anymore. So it's changed a lot for me in just the 8 months that I've been on it. So it's been awesome.
Amazing. Wow. I
Long
did not
story.
know all that about you. So that's amazing. I'm pulling up some questions, but I'll edit some of this out. So don't worry about
Yeah,
that.
long story. Sorry.
No, I love it. Are you kidding? I love just being able to go. No, it's
Yeah.
awesome. It really is awesome. So let's see. Well, one thing I'd love to, and we can talk a little bit more first about your, um, what do you wish you'd known before starting this journey now that you've been on it, as far as the medication and all of that?
Um, I wish I would have known a little bit more about the clinical trials, the Surmount 4. I really wish I would have read through that. After seeing like Robbie on live, and she talks about this often about how the trial data worked and how the deficit they were in, the amount of exercise they were doing. I wish I would have known more of that. Uh, just for like the movement side of things, because I've incorporated some level of movement with like walking and some level of weight training, but I wish I would have done more weight training throughout the journey.
Yeah, yeah. I preach it all the time, and I'm still not doing enough, but
Yeah,
I know how important it is.
yeah.
For sure. All right, what are your thoughts on, obviously when they did these studies, they did it a certain way, dosing people a certain way, all of
Hmm.
that. Like, what are your thoughts when it comes to dosing, if a dose is working, all of that, how do you look at that?
So for me, it's always going to be a conversation with the clinician. But for me personally, the conversation that I had with my doctor was very real and to the point. I said I want to stay on the lowest, most effective dose. That's what I had heard from the community. Everyone that I had heard was saying stay on 2.5. If it's working for you, just stay on that starter dose. And I did it for 2 months and I decided to move up, and I was still losing weight that second month, and I was losing more than the 0.5 to 2 pounds a week during that second month. And I should have stayed on 2.5 another month, and instead I went up. It's fine because I stayed on 5 for 6 months,
Yeah.
and 5 was amazing for me. So I have nothing to say about 5. Like I'm back on 5 now at the
Oh,
moment.
nice. Nice.
So 7.5 is placebo though. But I would definitely say stay on what dose works for you. A lot of
Yeah.
people think that titrating up you're going to lose more weight, and that's just not the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen people, it has the reverse,
Yeah.
effect sometimes, and it'll stop working. It's crazy. So are you in maintenance yet? Like, what does that look like for you? What's your
At the moment, I call it maintenance-ish.
Ish. Okay.
So my doctor says, you're at like an appropriate weight. I even think you could gain 10 pounds. And I'm of the mindset, well, first of all, if I gain 10 pounds, my BMI is in the overweight category or whatever. So I don't want to gain weight. I want to stay where I'm at least. But honestly, I think I could lose 10 more pounds. So at the moment, I'm spacing my doses out a little bit further than the 7 days, and I'm kind of just trying to find what's comfortable for me.
Yeah.
But also with the shortages, we're having issues getting the dose that I have right now. So I'm thinking about doing a higher dose less frequently. So we'll see what happens in the long term. But for right now, I'm just doing 5.
So when it comes to young people and these medications, I know you're strongly an advocate for that, and I'd love to just hear about that and hear your thoughts and what you think can happen in through the government, whatever, through Medicaid, just share your thoughts. That's really what I'm trying to say, because I know you have some good things to say.
So I think that they are trying to get it approved for 6 and up. So, but the thing is that gastric bypass is approved for 6 and up, but you cannot get a GLP-1 until you're 12. I believe that these medications need to be more readily available for kids that deal with morbid obesity. These children are not only shortening their lifespan, they are having an untold effect on their mental health, an untold effect on their organs, on their entire body. So I think that having the availability to these medications is going to be really important for younger people. I wish that I had the availability to them when I was, morbidly obese in my high school years, especially when I think that it would have changed everything for me. When
Yeah.
I was severely bullied in high school, I think it would have changed a lot for me.
Yeah. Ditto. I can only imagine. And then you have your whole life ahead of you. I didn't start till I'm in my 50s. You know what I mean? What obviously wasn't around, but yeah, I totally agree. All right, let's see. Did you have any setbacks along the way? And if so, how did you handle those?
So my setbacks were not really on the scale. I did have a few weeks where I gained, but I just wrote that off as like normal. I mean, I didn't eat a surplus of 3,500 or 7,000 calories this week, so I know I didn't really gain 2 pounds. It's probably just poop and water, to be
Yeah,
honest.
exactly.
So there's setbacks in that. The thing that I've really decided to do for my personal journey, because it was something that was such an effect on me previously, was instead of weighing in every day, I'm weighing in once a week, twice a week at most. And I think that for me personally, that makes more sense to me because I'm not over obsessing over the number. I know that the number is going to fluctuate every single day, but if I can get an average for the week, then I know where I stand. And really the best idea is if you wake up and you have a chance to go back to bed, step on that scale and then go back to sleep and then step on the scale again and see how much better you feel. When you see the number.
Right on.
See if you can lose a little 0.2, 0.3 more.
Right. All right. What's a, I don't want to say best piece of advice, but yeah, what's your best piece of advice you would give to someone considering starting on this journey?
I would say before anything, you should probably consult your doctor and call your insurance. Truly, I think that the first thing that you should do if you're trying to get on these medications is you should call your insurance. You should ask which GLPs are on your formulary that you can get covered. Ask what the clinical criteria is. So that's going to be if they require a type 2 diagnosis, if they require a BMI over 27 with comorbidities, if they require a heart-related condition. So those things, and then ask what your cost is. Ask if they require step therapy. ask if they're going to require you to try, Contrave and Qsymia and all these other medications before doing the more expensive one. And then, kind of form what you're going to do from there. A lot of plans have weight loss exclusions, so they're not going to cover these medications. So it's really going to be very plan dependent on what you have. But I know there are opportunities to fight for coverage if it's not on your formulary and if you don't have an exclusion. So a lot of people will have Mangiro on their formulary for type 2, but they don't have Zepbound on their formulary. But they don't have an exclusion to weight loss meds. They just don't have it on their formulary. So you can do what's called a formulary exception, and you can try to get it covered. It's a long shot. It's to be honest. But if anyone says that they can get these medications approved for you, or they will, they're lying to you. It's an uphill battle with anything related to insurance. It's an uphill battle. So, fighting and throwing the book at them, throwing every single thing, every single time you've met with a dietitian, every single time that you can notate blood work is elevated, every single time you can notate anything, always notate it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the importance of having a really good doctor that knows, like my doctor notates everything. He prescribes me things, that, you know what I mean? He's great. He's great. So definitely find a good doctor. Okay. So what about the person that they've got their meds, they're ready to go? What advice would you give them?
Got their meds ready to go. I would say switch up your injection sites. You may experience different things for different sites. For me, like my stomach, I feel like works the best, but some people like thighs, some people like back of arms. It's really just going to be dependent on the person. I would say probably consult a registered dietitian, and that's truthfully my suggestion to anyone, because you can change the food noise, but you can't change the things that you're going to eat. And you need to nourish your body with things that are appropriate, things that are going to fuel you, things that are going to allow you to not lose muscle mass, things that allow you to stay regular. So you're going to want to prioritize protein and fiber for a lot of people. But some people have kidney issues. So that's not a one size fits all approach for everyone. That's why working with a dietitian, they can kind of mold things to what your needs are for your body. That's what I recommend. And usually most insurance have some level of care, or some employers have EAP programs where they'll cover dietitians or mental health services. So seeking out those things, if they're available at no cost, could really benefit you.
Right on. Well, now I have 2 random questions. Totally unrelated. What's your favorite movie?
Oh God.
I'm gonna ask everyone the same question.
Step Brothers.
Which one?
Step Brothers with Will Ferrell and John C. Daly. Or is it John C.
Nice.
John C. Reilly?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And your current favorite band of the moment?
Oh God. Not a band, but I'm really liking Tate McRae as an artist, and I'm really liking Benson Boone. Those are my favorites.
Yeah, I love Benson. Benson's great. Benson's great. That's really about it, Jackson. You're amazing.
Thank you very much.
So where can people find you? I mean, it's going to all be linked down below, but feel free to
you can
that if you'd like.
Find me on Instagram, TikTok, working on the YouTube, not there yet, and the Clap. I'm on all those. So I would say Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and the Clap are the primary platforms that I'm available on.
All right, well, they'll all be linked. So,
awesome.